And welcome to Inside the Bunker. I am joined by Jessica and our lead actress of the film, Brittany Isabell. Say hi, everybody.
Woo! Hi.
Yay, Brittany.
And just a little backstory. I mentioned it earlier, how I met Brittany. We actually served some time, and I mean that in the most literal sense, at Hollywood Horror Nights at Universal Studios. And Brittany and I were in the same maze, and then I find out that you're from Arizona. We're from Arizona too. So it was just kind of this, I don't know, kismet or weird kind of coincidence. So I believe that you were supposed to be in this. So anyway, I'm super happy about that. But so when we first talked to you about Omega, I mean, we can talk about this now. And we were talking about this just a little bit ago, that we first started filming this, I think it was over 3 years ago. So, that was, was it weird to kind of go back to it? I mean, we don't want to give anything away past, episode 1, but as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. When I first met you, I was doing horror, and I'm very scared very easily. And then I've done horror with you ever since. I keep ending up in these projects. I love working with you guys, and the end result is so crazy cool. And yeah, starting it so long ago, and then even filming scenes, this year with all the safety protocols and everything. Yeah. It was really cool seeing those scenes that are supposed to be a day apart, and we shot that 2.5 years ago, and then we shot this year. But it works. And I was really nervous because my hair was so different. Yes. It was darker, it was shorter, but it all worked out, man. Movie magic.
That's what it is. Movie magic. We always plan to do those scenes where it was, I guess what is current time, what we open with. We always plan to do those last, because I kept being well, if she grows out her hair, or something changes, it'll be time passed. It's fine. It's the one time we can get away with it, Yeah,
that's so true. And hey, I did go through a pandemic, so those opening sequences are a little real in some ways.
It's true, right?
Some real life motivation there. Yeah. It's funny too, because Chris talks about that. He was for episode 1, and coming into it and everything, that he wanted it to feel, we wanted to feel the loneliness and stuff of her situation. We wanted her to feel alone. So even the scenes that Chris had once wrote and stuff, he, we ended up either not filming them, or there's certain parts that got cut, in editing. And it's, it partly because it's just, in the end, it was the more lonely we can kind of make her feel in this, the more we set up for what's coming and everything. And yeah, you're right. It's interesting to be during COVID, how lonely and alone did people feel? Very secluded at times.
I looked very distraught, but I was so excited to be filming again. that very first scene, I was just loving it.
Yeah. And you talk about that too. And we mentioned, you've been with us now for a while. We filmed a lot in that forest. So we mentioned that we have to get our gear and then hike in too. And, that's that in itself is, it's fucking crazy. And
I love it. I love the team effort, and, working with you guys and everyone that I've worked with in this project has been just so ready to give it their all and do whatever it takes and smile along the way. And, we're hiking in with all this gear, and I'm if people see us, this is going to look weird. But I was you know what? We're doing a project that we all love, and I think it paid off for sure.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that too, because we've had circumstances where people don't always share that point of view. And it's hard as indie filmmakers, if we have to carry sound, camera, costume, props and all that stuff. And so if it makes it so much nicer to have someone, like you and with the crew that we had, just be hey, everybody grab something and let's just kind of make it work. Jessica and I have been on, I'm sure you have too, been part of projects where not everybody shares that point of view, and it makes it hard right off the jump. It's tough. It's tough, but you know.
I was gonna say, it's nice you're down for everything anyways. Like we have to put so much dirt makeup and stuff on you, especially for that opening part and all. It's just like, like it's lucky that you're like, that's fine. We'll get dirty. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. I think it was somewhere in those woods where we were like going through bushes and there were bees one time, animals, and I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah, there's been a few things we'll definitely have to discuss like throughout the series of like moments we've had in the woods that we've been like,
right?
How much of it is acting? How much is Brittany actually scared?
I tell that story to anybody that listens, even people that have heard it before. And I'm not going to tell it now because it's not in this episode, but it definitely came up when we saw that. I thought it was a bear. Like, for people that don't know, bears scare me. Bears and sharks frighten me. And on like a primal level. So, and then Brittany standing behind me, she's like, oh my God. At that point, I'm like, oh my God, she's fucking right. There's a bear out here. And so it's like, it was bad. But this wasn't that time.
That'll come up in a different episode for sure.
I just had to tell it because I love telling it and I hadn't. That was terrifying. But yeah, so like it's funny and Jessica mentioned about getting dirty. And I remember in the episode when you find the journal and you're going through it, and I really wanted your hands to be dirty because there was a shot where we were going to get like your hands in a close up in the book, and then we have it later in the actual bunker. And so I remember saying, I need this to kind of really jump off camera. And that looked great. I'm so happy with how that turned out, and that you were just down to be like, hey, I think Jessica said this best. She's like, just put as much dirt on there as you can to really make it pop. So it looked really cool. I really like that.
Jessica part. With the makeup, always on point.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of love coming to this set and filming with you guys because I never have to look great.
I know, right? It's so funny when people talk about makeup and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do some makeup, but then I'm like, but not like beauty makeup. Like it's not like that's the usual film set makeup, and that's not my forte. I'm the opposite kind of.
Right. No,
I know.
Yeah. No, good.
I was gonna say, and with the writing in the journal too, like I know that was a big deal for Chris, was trying to kind of nail that moment. I know we were wondering about that a little bit, about like, is it hard to get in that kind of like mindset of trying to set up this character that we're about to tell this tale, but you're kind of at the end, but at the beginning.
Yeah. The way we did film it, it honestly did kind of feel more chronological to me, which was cool. That bunker, I was actually scared in there because it was a
escape room.
Yeah,
it's like a scary escape room. Yeah.
And so all the lights were on, but I was a little nervous.
There was like creepy, like set up stuffed things, like I don't know, people and stuff. Yeah, it had some creepy things in there.
I don't know if you noticed, but I was never really that far away from any one person. Kind of just following you guys around. Yeah, but
wandering.
That set really helped kind of get into that mode, and just you kind of coached me through that moment too, and that helped a lot. Just having people around you that I felt comfortable with, for that scene and other scenes later on, even, it really just created an environment where I felt I could do some cool work. Sometimes, I'd be looking down and Chris would be like, okay, now just eyes up a little bit, eyes up. I don't feel it, Chris, but I trust you. And it looks so good.
It's that whole balance of trying to be really natural, but then you're like, okay, I have to be a little unnatural, but try
to. And that's filming. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, Britt, because that's such a big deal about being comfortable on set, and that's something that we really wanted to to really kind of make sure that everybody was okay with that, you know, because, you know, you're stuck with us, we're stuck with you for a while. Everybody should feel comfortable. If there's an issue, you know, bring it up, say something, we can always adjust it, you know. But I'm really glad that you said that, because that was one of our goals setting out for all of our projects. But, you know, this is just kind of the most recent one. So that makes me happy that that's how you felt. And then, yeah, Jessica's really great when it comes to talking to our actors, and, you know, I'm usually tied up on the tech part of it, and she kind of handles the talent, and we come together and kind of make this, you know, perfect storm with our talent and everything going on. I think that, you know, it's interesting, kind of those two scenes were, you know, filmed kind of close together, but they were deep in the pandemic. I mean, I remember when we went and shot in the woods, we had to change that scene. The opening scene wasn't like that. You know, it was going to be much more violent, much more visceral. And so we found the body, and then we jumped to the bunker. And so for us, we know we needed to tell something that kind of kickstarted the motors. But for you, it was like you really had to get to a point when it was, you know, the title, I don't know if you know this, the title of Omega was actually going to be called The Last Person on Earth. You really kind of did that perfectly. Is there anything that you did kind of coming into it? You kind of feel like you're almost giving yourself a eulogy, you know, and you might be the last person on Earth, and the mindset that character kind of goes through. Did you do anything your process wise to get you to that point?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I really try to relate everything to myself in a way that's healthy. Of course, you got to separate yourself from the character, but humanizing everything from my point of view as Brittany really helps me step into that. And kind of the loneliness I would think about other times when I've been lonely, being here in LA by myself, all my family's gone, or I would think, oh, you know, what if I had been plucked into this world? And then you obviously separate that after the scene is done. But yeah, just finding those characters within what I already am and how I would move through the world that way. And then just kind of twinging it a little bit so I am, I guess, sort of finding this character, but it always kind of starts with how we're alike.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I like have huge kudos to Chris for like the casting on this, because I think you guys are great, and I go like a lot of times it feels like these characters were written for you guys. You guys definitely came to mind once it came to casting, but it wasn't where the script started, you know? So it's like that really cool moment where you go like, oh my God, it feels like you wrote this for them. And it's like, that wasn't necessarily the case, but it feels like that. So that's really good. That's cool. I think the little bit that we know about Morgan so far is that, you know, she's clearly got to be a pretty resilient person, because she's lasted through whatever she's been through that we're about to find out. And yeah, it's like when I think about you and stuff, I think about like, you know, Chris was talking about this at some point, like out of all the cast members, it's like, you probably are like one of the closest people that could be in the wilderness, like just because you're like really adventurous and stuff. And like, as much as sure horror things might scare you, like it doesn't seem like a lot of other things scare you. Like you know, Chris has talked about you skydived.
Skydive. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so there's these moments that I'm like, oh yeah, like, there's a Morgan like in there for sure. Like,
yeah. And, you know, I do kind of get typecast as the victim, nice girl roles, which is totally cool. But it was really fun to have an opportunity to play this kind of badass character that's holding a gun and can hold her own. And I think it was just all around so fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for everyone else to kind of see the journey that this is gonna take and all. Because so far we only, as far as going into flashbacks or the time before what we've just experienced, it's like we've just barely hit the beach. And which, by the way, you guys filmed a lot longer on the beach than what we saw.
Yeah. Do you remember, Britt? We actually went, and it was in the winter, and it was right before Sebastian's, another HHN alum that we met. It was right before his birthday. So we were there and we were killing time, and we actually shot a ton of stuff on the beach, and then we got food, and then we went back for sunset, I think, because we were going to use that scene in another episode. I think it might have been episode 4 or 5. We didn't, but yeah, we do you remember shooting that scene? I mean, we were there for a while.
I do. I think there's a picture of me where I'm like huddled up because I'm very cold, and then I'm smiling like, yeah, this is great.
It's cool. We're on the beach and I'm freezing.
Right.
Chris made me run. I was like, oh God.
And we changed outfits too. And we were supposed to shoot on different days. So she actually had an outfit change on the beach in the winter. Like, that's probably why that didn't help you being warm. I mean,
I forgot about the outfit change.
Yeah. And I feel bad about not using most of that footage because it's great. It looked so good. Jessica has a term in the film industry, I'm sure you've heard it too, where you have to slaughter your babies, where you love something, how it looks, how it came out, but it just doesn't fit in the window of what you're trying to do stuff. But I have my Jaws moment, man. I was saying earlier that Spielberg has been a huge inspiration on me. And then that scene from Jaws where, you've got there's this picket fence, it's kind of bent over a little bit over this white sandy dune, and there's the water right there. And I got something like that day, and, it never sees the light of day. So.
It was in the original edit, and then we needed to make the episode be shorter.
Yeah.
The thing about being an actor is that I don't have to really have control over that. And I feel like that's a whole other thing. Was it hard, with the pandemic, kind of changing some of those scenes and letting go of some of that stuff?
Yeah, that it's the first scene, especially like episode 1 was going to be very different. And it was going to be basically, we were introduced to your character right away. That's not how it was going to go. We were going to have these two people in the woods, and your character was going to murder them. And then we were going to kind of throughout the series, we were going to find out why she did that. And so, we weren't able to do that because of COVID. So we could barely get the four of us, me, you, Jessica, and Dustin up there to film this scene. We couldn't get 2 other people with gag effects. It just, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things where we had to, so that definitely affected it. And in another scene, and this is totally on me. Do you remember the hanging body? In this episode, there was a body that was supposed to have hung himself, right? So Jessica hauled that body. Jessica remembers it.
I just remember having it because I had to blow it up to set it up, and then it's like I deflated it, but it didn't deflate all the way, so I stuffed it into this backpack. And while we're hiking up, the backpack just opens and this body spills out. And I'm like, oh my God, while we're hiking, I'm stuffing it back in the thing. And I'm just that thing was such a pain for us to put up and deal with. And then it did not make the cut. And I was these moments where you're I worked so hard for something.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking. I totally forgot about the body.
I own that one. That was me. I blew focus on that one. We had just got the new camera, and I have a really bad habit of changing camera platforms in the middle of shoots. And that was it. I just misfocused. But yeah. So Britt, is there anything about episode 1 that you remember, that you want to bring up, that you want to talk about? Getting into the character, coming out of the character, anything at all that you want to talk about?
I remember eating those peaches.
Oh yeah, the canned peaches.
Yeah, we there was a big debate about what I was going to eat out of that can.
Yeah.
Were they peaches? Did we end up going with? Oh God, I thought we had canned mangoes or something.
So they were
mangoes.
They were mango.
So we got 3 things. One was apricots, peaches, and mangoes. And I remember thinking, I hope she eats the peaches, because I wanted the mangoes and the apricots because I was going to eat them when I got home. And I remember asking Jessica, what did she eat? And I think that you ate mangoes. And I'm like, fuck, I knew she was, it's we should have, but yeah. So that's clear. Remember that?
A testament to, like I was saying earlier, a great crew. You didn't just throw something at me. It's eat it. You're what do you want? We got a whole
it's not going to look ideal. You'll be eating out of a can. So at least which of these is the best choice for you? Something better than doing beans or, I don't know.
I think that's what it was in the script. I always default to beans, and I don't know why. Maybe because they keep longer than fruit. I don't know. But
you're are you going to eat canned beans that are not warm? Nothing.
Disgusting, right? That'd have been terrible.
Out in the wilderness, I need those beans.
Right.
Eat them. You're in the thick of it now. There's no food. Enjoy your beans.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's just overall always a great time. You know, as much as it's really dramatic, it's so fun to shoot this stuff. And when one of us gets a little low energy, there's always someone there to kind of lift us up. And I feel like it's just a well-oiled machine at this point with you two. It's so fun working with you guys.
Honestly, Britt, you've been great. I can't see anybody else play Morgan since you've done it. And I think that, you know, we're going to see that character really grow over the, you know, the 9 episodes or the 8 upcoming episodes that she's kind of traversing this landscape. And, you know, it's just been so fun to kind of play with the character and play in the sandbox. But for this episode, yeah, I was just so happy with it. I think that, you know, there was a time when I thought, how am I ever going to get this done? And then, you know, honestly, I think that if the pandemic didn't happen, the location was always the hardest part. And maybe I should talk about that. I don't think I've talked about that yet. Episode 1 was always the bottleneck. Like, how do we start this thing? How do we create like this dystopian, post-apocalyptic, but still, you know, area where we can kind of let Morgan be and then react to it. And then I think Jessica said, well, we can just go up to where we filmed before, which was where we ended up going. And, you know, everything kind of worked itself out. But episode 1 for a long time, that's why this series wasn't wrapped up sooner, because of that, because we didn't have a location to film in the woods and we didn't have a location like a compound. It was always this area she went to where she could kind of feel safe and she could put her stuff down, you know, where she lays her head at night. You know, and she could also barricade. That's why we have those traps, which is, you know,
looked awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all Jessica. Yeah, that's her dressing the scene. So, you know, so that's why it took so long. And I honestly thought at some point that it was never going to get done. Yeah, we got lucky in the unluckiness of that last year. And then, and again, I love how episode 1 turned out. I think that everything went so well, and Britt, you killed it. And I can't wait to talk later to you about what has happened and as it's going and all that stuff. But thank you. I'm so glad. I'm
excited to see the rest of it, to put it all out there.
Yeah.
My family was on the lake, like on vacation, and they told me they were all trying to watch it on their phones because they liked it so much. They were all like in separate rooms, like trying to watch.
That's awesome. Tell them thank you so much. That's sweet. That's super awesome.
That's super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best.
All right. Yeah. Well, then they should look for more episodes, right? Every Friday, we will release a new episode. Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, everybody just stay tuned and check it out as we go along.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you, Jessica. And we're
thanks,
out.
Guys.
Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Bye.